Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today, my friends, it is a very big day here in Warzone. We've got the Season 3 Reloaded update, or the mid-season update, now live. This adds a ton of new content to the game. We've got some new map updates. Multiple new points of interest are now on Verdansk 84. We've got some changes to downtown. We've got changes to various campsites. A lot of really cool stuff going on Verdansk itself. We've also got some new modes. We've got some new challenges, all sorts of really cool stuff going on with this update. Plenty of new content and back-end changes to cover here. So today we're basically breaking all of that down. As always, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. Goal for this one, gonna be a bit higher. Let's go for 5,000 likes on this. Let's see if we can cross that. And of course, if you're new to the channel, or if you haven't already subscribed, something like 53% of you guys watching aren't already subscribed to the channel. So if you wanna help us get one step closer to 750,000 subs, feel free to subscribe. That way you can always stay up to date with everything going on in COD, news, intel, updates. It's all right here. Also, if you want to stock up on any G Fuel products, COD has got you covered there, 10 to 30% off. Whether you're trying to grab a new tub, maybe a starter pack, anything like that, COD has got you covered. So, first up when it comes to the physical update itself, on PlayStation 5, it's going to be 14.6 gigs. Same deal on PlayStation 4, actually. On every Xbox platform, it's going to be 15.2 gigs. On PC, if you are a Warzone only player, it'll be 14.9 gigs. And if you own Warzone and Modern Warfare, it's going to be 18.1 gigs. So not the biggest update in the world, also not the smallest either. You are going to have to spend some time downloading the update before you play though regardless, so definitely take that into consideration. Now, getting into the content changes, of course we know a decent amount about some of this content already thanks to the roadmap or the fact that it's just shared between Warzone and Cold War. But obviously, we've got Rambo and John McClane being added in via new operator bundles. Each of these bundles feature their own individual operator skins, of course. They also have some legendary weapon blueprints, then some like the usual stuff like charms and calling cards and all the normal bundle stuff like that. We also have some brand new map updates for Verdansk 84, which is something that I was not expecting whatsoever. When I heard that the mid-season update would already be changing things on the new map, I was admittedly pretty surprised, but it is definitely very cool that we're already seeing new points of interest added in, even if they are temporary. So first and foremost, we are getting the Nakatomi Plaza in downtown. This is basically going to make that main tower even bigger now and turn it into the Nakatomi Corporation headquarters as a replacement to the broadcast tower, which of course is what it was before. So this ends up adding even more playable floors to that building itself. I think they said it'll be like 5 new playable floors, and those will be familiar if you've seen Die Hard. On top of that, this entire downtown area surrounding this building has a few new special things with it. It obviously is going to look a bit different. Then in Plunder or Battle Royale, you can end up activating some new quests or challenges in this area. Like for instance, you need to defuse a C4 on the roof, or you need to stop an arms deal, and you can actually end up getting some special rewards for that. And I think there's also going to be a new Easter egg here too, it seems like. According to the update preview blog, quote unquote, if you're lucky enough, you can try and successfully crack into the Plaza Vault and escape with its riches, which I assume would just be like a ton of cash and loot, armor satchels, gas masks, the whole nine, and maybe like a new limited time blueprint like we got with some of the previous Easter eggs, like the whole stadium one or the subway one, so on and so forth. But I'm sure we're going to find out more on what's going on with that as we play the map over the coming days. Now, we also have new survival camps placed all around the map. If there were campsites there before, they should be upgraded to these survival camps now. These are sort of supposed to mimic scenes from First Blood Part 2. And within these, you can end up finding some loadout items and some dog tags that you can use to get various upgrades in game. Like for instance, some UAVs or buybacks or even the specialist bonus, which we haven't had available in quite some time. There is also the new CIA outpost area over in the airport hangars. This has some other loot that you can find. Really nothing too out of the ordinary there, but definitely another cool area on the map. Then we've got a brand new mode called Power Grab available. This is kind of like Battle Royale and Kill Confirmed combined in a sense. Basically, there is no gulag in this mode. And instead, the only way you can get people back or people can get you back is via the buy station like normal, or by getting enough dog tags to purchase a revive token. And you can get dog tags by killing other players or looting or completing contracts. Those dog tags can also allow you to get other items too, like the UAV and the specialist bonus like I mentioned before. Also, there is a smaller circle collapse to start the action in this mode, so the action in and of itself is going to be a bit more frequent and intense in theory, so that's pretty cool too. We also have a brand new kill streak now available in game, the Combat Bow, which of course is a nod to Rambo there. You can get that just like any other streak. Then for the new weaponry, the ballistic knife is now here at long last after being exclusive to Cold War for the first few weeks of the season. So if you want to try and finesse some players with the ballistic knife, you can now do so if you have it unlocked. And of course, you unlock it by getting a one-shot medal and a melee kill in the same life in 15 different matches, or if you get 300 kills while using a special or a melee weapon in zombies. All right, so we've got the patch notes here, the Warzone Season 3 Reloaded patch notes. This goes over a ton of different stuff. We've got some weapon tuning, we've got some basic like general fixes and whatnot. We also have quite a bit of attachment tuning as well. So starting off, obviously, we've got the events. 2 sets of 9 challenges and rewards are available across Cold War and Warzone during this event, which starts on May 20th, or tonight, basically. Complete all 9 Cold War challenges to unlock a tactical rifle weapon blueprint, and complete all 9 Warzone challenges to unlock a sniper blueprint. So depending on which weapon you want, you may want to be playing a specific game, or you can go for both and get a new tac rifle and a new sniper blueprint. As far as the playlists go, we're going to have the power grab mode, plunder quads, rebirth island resurgence trios, then also the standard BR modes as well, solos, trios, all that good stuff. We've talked about the new points of interest already. For general fixes or general updates, Gunsmith Customs has been added for Black Ops Cold War weapons. This was a feature that we've been missing up until this point. We could do it for Modern Warfare weapons, but not Cold War weapons. So now we're able to do that for all the Cold War weapons as well. Definitely some big news there. Also, stickers and charms exclusive to either Cold War or Modern Warfare are going to be usable only on their specific weapons. Not really a huge change there. For gameplay, we've got the new combat bow. The stopping power field upgrade spawn rates have been reduced substantially across all modes. This, my friends, is fantastic news. Earlier on this week, Raven tweeted out sort of teasing that something with stopping power was going to be updated. Personally, I don't think it belongs in the game. I think it's kind of cheesy. Deddy is also sort of on that same sort of conversational topic area as well. But given stopping power's efficiency and lack of counterplay options, we felt this power level was at odds with its availability. We want to create more scenarios where a measured choice about how and when to utilize field upgrades is not just rewarded but encouraged. There was hardly an incorrect way to apply stopping power, which we felt took away from the satisfaction of optimal or strategic use. Our hope by drastically reducing its presence within Warzone is that we introduce a small strategy-based control. Those who loot efficiently increase their odds of finding it. We will also be making an important adjustment to the BR solo modes in the very near future. Keep an eye out on that. If I had to guess, that's probably in reference to the Berthas or maybe just vehicles in general, because end zones and solos are just insane with Berthas. But focusing on the stopping power nerf here, the stopping power spawn rate reduction, it's not necessarily a nerf, but it also is in a sense. That's a great change. I love that. Definitely a big fan of that one. For bug fixes, we've got quite a few things here. They fixed additional map locations in Verdansk that allowed players to reach out of bounds area, aka train station, aka the stadium. Hopefully that's all good and dandy now. Fixed an issue that caused the gas mask to become unbreakable after a player's first death. So that's actually been fixed for a few days now, but they included it here. They fixed a bug that caused Activision player IDs to not always appear in the kill cam. Definitely need that to report cheaters or hackers or glitches, whatever it may be. Fixed an issue where scavenger challenges were not correctly referencing the Summit POI. Not really sure what that means. Fixed an issue where loadout drops would fall through salt pools in salt mines. I didn't even know that was a thing, and I've never experienced it, but hey, that's fixed now. They fixed an issue where sparks was not visible in the operator selection. They fixed a bug with the LW3 Tundra firing the final shot in the magazine would displace the weapon model. Kind of a small fix there. Fixed a bug with the Great Pacific blueprint where its weapon stats are incorrect. That's the XM4 blueprint that actually had M4 weapon stats. So that's now updated, no longer going to be a scenario there, you could say. Fixed a bug with the Swiss K31 where it would deal lethal damage in the upper body when loaded with stopping power. So almost a nerf there. Fixed a bug with the Bullfrog when it was receiving an unintended amount of bullet velocity. So another interesting fix to the Bullfrog. I wonder if that's going to be like really detrimental to gameplay with that. We're going to have to wait and see or find out for ourselves. Fixed a bug with the Carve 2 where some of its barrels were not assigning the correct values. So as we know, the Carve 2 barrels were all sorts of incorrect. That should now be fixed. It's always should, not necessarily is, because the attachments, as we know, are all sorts of wonky with the Cold War weapons. Then finally, they fixed the incorrect magazine names for the Farah 83. I assume that's in reference to the 50-round mag, which is actually a 60-round mag. For accessibility, most nonverbal sounds are now called out in subtitles. This will apply to all new operators, including Rambo and McLean. They added HOA-like subtitles for baked-in graphics in cinematics. Nothing too crazy there. They added a new accessibility options menu where you can choose all sorts of different things, basically. Then we get to the weapons. Obviously, we've got the ballistic knife. We've talked about that. The M63 is on its way. When it comes to the weapon tuning here, this is where things get interesting. For the SMGs, they touched on the AK-74U. I was actually theorizing that they would end up buffing the AK-74U, and here they increased the neck multiplier to deal more damage. They increased the sprint to fire speed. They decreased the velocity, and the velocity was really the only standout thing that the AK-74U had going for it. They also decreased the maximum range. So a couple of buffs, a couple of nerfs. Definitely interesting, I would say. The AK-74U stats were well beyond what one might expect from an SMG, which is interesting because it wasn't really a meta SMG. We are running it back in line with the other weapons in its class. Less bullet velocity, less damage range, and more sprint to fire speed. So it's going to be, I just feel like, more of a basic SMG now. Nothing really crazy like, say, the MAC-10 or the Bullfrog or the LC-10 or the MP5s, like some of those more desirable subs. For the PPSH, the damage was increased by 1 and the range was also increased. So yet another buff to the PPSH. Maybe now it'll be a little bit more usable and a little bit more competitive. The previous buff personally did not do it for me, but that should make it a tad bit better. For the snipers, all Cold War sniper base optics have been adjusted. So that's one thing in and of itself for every single sniper. On the M82, they increased the velocity. The extremity multipliers were increased by a tad bit, and the rate of fire was actually decreased. So this was actually pretty similar to the Cold War nerf. On the Tundra, the aiming stability was increased, so it'll be a bit easier to actually stay on target. It won't sway as much. For the Swiss K31, the flinch resistance was increased, the ADS speed was increased, and the aiming stability was increased, so a few buffs there. And then for the ZRG, they actually changed a lot here. The bullet penetration was increased, so it'll actually deal more damage through objects now. The upper torso multiplier and the lower torso multipliers were increased. The extremity multiplier was increased. The ADS speed was decreased, so it's going to be even slower now. The velocity was decreased. The move speed was decreased, and the ADS move speed was decreased. So its mobility got hurt, but its multipliers were buffed. So a couple of different changes to this one. Personally, I'm not a fan of the ZRG. It was the best sniper for velocity and range and whatnot. It doesn't look like it will be now because they ended up decreasing some of that. It's probably going to be the Tundra and the HDR once again, but if you're a fan of the ZRG, it is going to feel a bit different now. For the attachments, they also made several different changes here. On the flash guard, the vertical recoil control was increased slightly. Cool update there. The suppressor, this is a really, really interesting one. It no longer reduces bullet velocity, but it now increases bullet velocity instead. It also increases ADS speed and increases the sprint to fire speed. So quite a few changes there that make the actual regular suppressor, not the agency, not the GRU, keep in mind, just the standard suppressor, a lot more viable and honestly a little bit more enticing to use. It increases some bullet velocity. I'm sure we're going to have some comparisons coming up in the coming days from like JGOD and True Game Data with all their really in-depth detailed numbers there. Whether the velocity is much better than the GRU suppressor or the agency, or if it's much worse, all that jazz. So we can probably be on the lookout for that, I would assume. What's also interesting is that it increases some mobility some, whereas the GRU and the agency and whatnot actually decreases some mobility. So if you want a faster class, the regular suppressor might actually now be pretty viable. For the lasers, the target designator no longer has an effective damage range buff for snipers. All of this is for snipers, keep in mind, on all these lasers actually. It increases aiming stability, and also the ADS move speed multiplier was increased, so it's got better mobility but less range. The Ember sighting point no longer increases the range, and it does the same thing as this. They increase the aiming stability and the multiplier. The steady aim laser no longer decreases the hip spread and increases the ADS speed, so that's almost looking like the TAC laser in a sense. And then the 5 milliwatt laser no longer decreases the hip spread and no longer decreases ADS speed. It now actually increases aiming stability and greatly increases the ADS speed. So that might actually be worth running now. Cold War snipers desperately needed more value attachments. I agree. Namely, more attachments that provide stats that are relevant to snipers. We feel the changes to these attachments in the base sniper optics will make Cold War snipers far more competitive and enjoyable to use. Then for the rear grips, the airborne / the GRU elastic wrap now has aiming stability increased on it. So that's another pro that offers. Then I think the rest of this is just the content stuff. Obviously, we've got Rambo, we've got John McClane coming. And then for the downloads, we already covered this at the start of the video as well. So that's pretty much the gist of the patch notes. Quite a few changes to attachments specifically. What is surprising, though, is that they didn't end up buffing some of the Modern Warfare weapons like they said they have planned. So that'll be happening in a future update, it looks like. No major MW weapon buffs here, just some changes to the AK-74U, the PPSH, and then obviously the snipers and all the various attachments here. So we have more weapon tuning coming soon that we can anticipate from this point. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the patch notes. So yeah, there you have it. With all of that being said, that is effectively everything that ended up changing in the brand new 1.37 or the Season 3 Reloaded update for Warzone. And that's going to wrap things up for today. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here or if you haven't already subscribed, I am always covering everything going on in COD, whether it be news, intel, updates, or really anything else in between. So feel free to subscribe, that way you'll always know whenever I upload a new video. As always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code WhosImmortal for a discount on all Scuff, G Fuel, Gamer Advantage, and Control Freak products. And the links for all those can be found down in the description below. But once again, thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.